So I wanted to share a story about this because, and you might think this is crazy, but I saw this in real freaking true life situation with one of my friends. So I had a friend, business partner, and we were traveling together all the time. And every single time we traveled, she got sick. Every time. Every single time she got sick. And it was usually like we would get there and by the next day, like we'd spend the night and then we'd wake up and by the next day she would get sick. And we were with like a group of other business partners and talking or whatever, and she was sick. And she said, I'm freaking sick again, of course, because every time I travel, I get sick. And she said it out loud. And one of our other business partners said, have you ever thought about maybe just not saying every time you travel, you get sick? And she was kind of like, okay, funny, you know? And she was like, no, seriously, like your words have power. Your words are, those words, that story that you're using it's negative, it's heavy. And clearly it's powerful enough that every single time you've traveled, you've gotten sick. So she stopped saying it. She stopped saying that every time she traveled, she got sick, and she shifted her language around, just being healthy and taking care of her body and just really focusing on like healthy thoughts and things, and never ever saying again, when I travel, I get sick. And she reframed it, rewrote the story, whatever. Wouldn't you know that the next time we traveled, she didn't get sick, and then it never happened again. And truly, I've traveled with her tons of times since she shifted that story. She was never sick again. It's powerful, you guys. And I believe a lot of the physical symptoms that we feel in our day-to-day life comes from our language and the things that we say to ourselves every day and the way that we talk to ourselves every day. When you really get into this stuff and you really practice it and you go all in on it, you watch it change people's lives. I mean, you truly watch people change their lives, because what you say to yourself every single day is creating your current reality. So now that you've got a really good understanding of, the brain and what your story is, I just want to challenge you to, like, after this, like, stop. And I want you to pull out a piece of paper, and I want you to write down, like, what is your current story? What's the story you're going with? And just be honest with yourself. This isn't to shame you or make you feel bad or guilty about anything or make you feel any worse than you currently do. Like, just get it all out there and just write it down. What is the story that you're currently going with? And I really want you to think about, things in your life that you consistently kind of go back to. So, if you're always having challenges with relationships, like in your marriage, or maybe the relationship you have with a parent, or think about those things, and then really think about, well, what's the story I tell myself about those challenges, about those situations? Same thing with finances, or your job, or your kids, or this could literally be as simple as, I'm not a morning person. I'm cranky as crap every morning when I wake up, and I hate getting out of bed, and I'm not a morning person. Like, you hear that from people all the time. Well, that's just the story that you've decided to go with, and you've continued to create evidence to support that for years. And this is the, thing about rewiring, your brain and changing your language and rewriting your story and your stories about your life. Is it takes time and it takes practice. This is going to be like anything else. You're going to have to do it over and over and over again before it starts to become second nature. It's not easy. And again, it is going to cause discomfort, because your brain is going to want to protect you from overcoming these things and really making progress. Because you're addicted to your story. Your brain is comfortable with being uncomfortable. Your brain is protecting you from possibly putting you in any kind of danger, because it elicits that response in your nervous system and in your body. So it takes practice. It takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. But what I want you to do is write those things down. Write down what your current story is about any certain situations. Or if that feels overwhelming to you, you could always say, okay, what's one thing in my life that I really want to change right now or improve upon? And like, maybe it's the relationship you have with someone in your life. Okay, well then write down, what is your story about that current situation in that relationship? And like, what is the evidence that you're always giving yourself about it? So, is it that, you can't let your guard down with your husband because of how your father treated you in your childhood? Also, powerful thing just to tell you, it's never too late to have a good childhood. It's never too late to have a good childhood. And what I mean by that is you can improve upon the way that you think and feel and view your childhood, regardless of if your childhood was good or bad. Everybody, for the most part, or until they get to a point in their life where they are taught these types of tools and given these types of resources, everybody thinks that their childhood is why they are the way that they are, and that they're just that way, and that they can't change that. And it's just not true. You can change the way you think and feel about your childhood. And I have completely transformed the way I think and look and feel about my childhood over the years. I used to feel really bad about my childhood, and I was a victim about it. And I didn't have a relationship with my mother for years. I didn't talk to my mom for over 5 years. I've completely rewrote it, rewired it, changed the language I say about it, changed the way I look at it, and I talk to my mom again. I have a great relationship with my mom. There was a time where I thought I would never talk to her again, and I said really awful things about her because of situations that I dealt with as a child that, had to do with her. I changed all that because I chose to, and because I wanted to, and because I believed that I deserved that. Now that I learned that it's as simple as just changing the language for it. So write that down, and then we're going to start to help you. We'll go through and start to help you reframe that and rewrite that. But now you have the awareness, and you can already start thinking of ways and ideas to create new evidence for your new stories, or what are other words and language that you want to use to improve upon that.